Contemplate the workings of the inner being. Your eyes are wide open, but are you really seeing? Hey y'all, this is Cole.
This is Tom.
And we're here on Mentor in the Mirror. And we have the amazing Barton here with us.
Barton Skidot.
Skidot. How would you even spell that?
Skidot.
Skidot. Okay,
That's
it's
how we would
actually
say it
just Scott, which
that's
is tagged in the video.
That's how we would say it in Flatbush, Brooklyn. Skidot and Skidot, Midan. You know what I'm saying?
Perfect.
So talented, man.
He
I'm
is.
always impressed.
It's endless.
I don't know if that's a talent.
The range, is just like unspeakable.
Exactly. So for anyone that hasn't watched the show or listened to the show, if you're watching on Facebook Live, on my personal page, or if it's your first time listening to the show, Mentor in the Mirror is all about radical self-honesty and some of the maybe not so easy things that we have to do to be honest with ourselves. And part of that is, I believe, some of the nutrient deficiencies that we have. So, Barton, if you could just give us a little bit about what is Upgraded Labs and what led you
Formulas,
to...
but yeah.
Why do I keep saying labs?
Everyone
Formulas.
does that, even though we've had the name for years and years.
Upgraded Formulas.
Yeah.
I know it shows backwards.
Yeah.
Upgraded Formulas. I got this, guys. We can do this together. So what led to the creation of it? Because most people start something like that because of personal experience.
Yeah, great question. I mean, for me, it was just dire need. I knew that what I needed to be able to fix my own health problems. That's like with a different process. At that point, that's a company, that's a business. And I knew I wanted to be in wellness anyway. So it was just like, well, that makes sense. But I also have to just kind of get there until then. So now, for example, when someone takes our iodine, we just talked about this, it might take you a year, but you can reverse an iodine deficiency. And what someone listening goes, well, I don't know what benefit that has. It's like, there's so many benefits. One is like not being cold all the time, not wearing a jacket in the summer, like things that you get accustomed to that kind of like drag you down, like I did Wim Hof stuff yesterday with some friends, and we jumped in a bunch of ice, and we're like cheering each other on, and I would not have done that a couple years ago. Like it wouldn't have. Yeah. So anyway,
iodine is extremely important in the body, especially for thyroid function.
Yes.
So yeah, man. Thank you for what you do.
Thanks.
I'd really be interested to
Feels
know.
good to hear that.
Yeah, man. Thank you for what you do for all the people that you do it for, and for creating products with such integrity.
Yeah.
Because you care about people, not just for a buck. So thank you for all of the love and the care that you put into it, and for how you explain the absorption and how to take your supplements. You're very passionate about it, and I see that, and I appreciate that. Yeah. So what was the thing that just when you looked in the mirror one day and you were like, man, I gotta make these supplements, man, because what?
3 a.m. one night, and it was one of those promises like a lot of people listening have had before. You've had, Cole's had, and it's beyond you sort of moment where it doesn't feel like a choice. It's just, all right, so that's happening, like there's a carpet rolling out in front of me is how it feels. And there's a lot of work, and there's, but yeah, that was the choice. I was here in Austin, woke up in the middle of the night, and it was just like clear, like, oh, no one's going to do this. Like for anyone listening that hasn't heard me speak before on a podcast or something, it's, so I was a chemical engineer. I got through school, my memory was great. It started to really drop off. It was starting to drop off. I lost my mother, and, I was born to older parents. So I was kind of always expecting a loss, but not that soon. And we're just, super tight knit, and, it was incredible. The relationship that we all had. And as much as I could be at peace with her leaving, it made me think about longevity. Just before I even got to the hospital, she had an aneurysm. And I'm driving back from Austin, and I'm just like, I shouldn't be making this drive right now. She's 68. I shouldn't be making this drive. This is way too soon. I can be at peace with whatever happens with this, but I cannot be like, it still shouldn't happen. She, you know, she had access to good medical care. She had access to good nutrition. She was taking some supplements, you know. I had helped her, you know, she was in good shape, you know, healthy, happy, alive, retired, enjoying life, like on that path that a lot of us are hoping to get to at her age. She's there. And then just boom. And I remember thinking, all right, maybe at whatever age you think is acceptable to pass on, but not 68.
Yeah.
Not in this country.
No,
not in any country.
Not on this planet, man.
Not on this planet.
Not with the technology that we have.
Yeah.
Not with the information that we have. Not with the experience that we have.
Right.
You know, in practicing in the hospital, as long as I did, seeing so many people drop off in their 50s and 60s, and it's totally unnecessary. Mm-hmm. And you know, bringing in high quality supplements, not just taking Centrum. You know, most of the people that would come in the hospital in their 50s and 60s are taking Centrum, totally useless, supplements and stuff that's just mass produced to tell people that they're getting vitamins. That
they feel good about something, so they can go back to their lives.
Yeah. And so,
but not really fixing the root cause.
Yeah, they're not even. Well, our food supply is so devoid of the amount of nutrients that it could possibly have, because our soil has been used over and over and over again. It's really important for us to supplement in a way that's functional and cycle supplements in. Not necessarily, you don't have to be on supplements forever, but cycle them in and cycle them out and have these dialogues. And
take only what you need. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Only what you need.
Well, so Barton, what is the path for someone in figuring out what they need? Because I think that's an important conversation. Someone goes to the doctor and the doctor's like, oh, you should take some more iron. And so people go to Costco and they buy, the Magnum bottle of iron pills that they don't even realize, or they're basically just eliminating,
I have so much to say on this, and I'll try to keep it brief and not have it be like 15 minutes.
Do your thing, man.
But, yeah, we're here for it all.
Yeah. So, all right. You mentioned iron. Let's take that example. A doctor normally, or anyone normally, will take just an iron test, and you're measuring just iron. But we're not made of just iron, are we? Iron isn't the only thing that's important, is it? Right? So I'm asking you, whoever's watching or whoever's listening at home, is that, okay, we're going to check calcium. Is that the only thing that's important? So we use a special type of hair test with upgraded formulas because it's a both zoom out and an up close approach at what's wrong. And it's just more accurate than blood. And you can do it at home too. That's a bonus. You don't have to go with needles. I mean, I know blood's been what everyone's been trained with, because the textbooks were written. The doctors that are working today were probably trained by a book that was written in 1990 or before.
Yeah.
And anyway, we won't have to go into that, but back into just, so that's why it's not common though. And just because it's not common doesn't mean it's not incredibly valuable. So it's accurate to the point that I can look at your results as a nutritionist and go, wow. So I imagine you sleep fine, but you probably wake up a lot during the night, or you have, something like that, because I'm looking at a ratio that tells me your adrenal expression, or I'm looking at, it's just a number of different things like that. So our hair test is really, really incredible. I think we can give a code out for that now or later, but Barton 10. If you guys want to check it out, just because I can. It's been the most important thing that I found in the last 10 years as far as telling me where to look, where to dig, where not to dig, what to act on, basically, right? So thankful for it. That transcendental meditation, these minerals have just changed my life. And then working with you guys, just all the work that you guys, like these sorts of things together are just, it's not a circle someone said yesterday, it's a spiral, it's a helix. So it's a spiral upward. And I was like, oh, that's beautiful. But you have to have,
you have to be a well-rounded human being. And that is looking at all aspects of the self. You just, this is
something you guys know all too well.
Well, I'm just waiting for Cole to fix the mic. This is something that we talk about all the time, is a complete human being. And when you look at your lab tests and you're just looking at iron, or you're just looking at calcium or magnesium or whatever you're just looking at, you're not looking at the entire picture. So to zoom out so that you can zoom in is really important. And this is something that I used to get into arguments with physicians about, when I was at the hospital, because they were not checking for things, and they were treating very surface level situations and very, very broad based things that weren't really getting into the specifics, and people were just coming back. So I appreciate
we're just not patient with people, are we?
No, we're not.
Exactly.
We're not patient with emotions. We're not patient with their physicality. We're not patient with ourselves for the most part. And I know I'm a lot more patient than I used to be with myself. I mean, this has been a work in progress.
Right there relaxes the endocrine system and allows you to heal and not burn through your mineral stores as fast.
Yeah, I mean, when we are healing ourselves, being in a relaxed state is the most important place. Not just rest, not just to sleep, but actually relaxed. So when we can relax, the body can do what it needs to do, and it can encompass all of the materials that we give it. And this is why the supplementation stuff is so important, and this is why cycling the stuff in is so important, and this is why doing the research for yourself is so important. And one of the things that we are constantly encouraging people to do is to lean into that mirror and ask yourself, what do I need? Do I have the people on my life team that are actually helping me fortify myself and encourage me to have education on what my body is doing based on science and things that we've studied and perspectives? Because all of this shit is perspective. Right? It's really important for us to incorporate all of this as a complete human being. So that spiritual aspect, that mental aspect, that social aspect, and that physical aspect all have to come into play at the same time. So yeah, man, I'm with you, and I really appreciate what you're doing and the passion that you have behind this. And
it's a life mission.
Yeah, I appreciate everything that you've endured to inspire you to get to this point. Including your mom and everybody else that you've had to move through to get you to this space, because what you're doing is pretty epic, man. And us,
thank you, brother.
Yeah, man, thank you. And us helping you spread the word is definitely what I'm interested in, and I'm definitely doing that hair test. It's gotta happen.
Yeah. Where are we gonna get hair from?
I got some hair down in this. Oh wait, that's shaved off too.
We'll grow it back, guys.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't have to have scalp hair. It doesn't matter. We can use hair from other regions.
Oh, you have armpit. Yeah, you have armpit.
There you go.
So let's talk a little bit about some of the main formulas that you use and what people would use them for, because I think that even in the supplementation world, people don't have the faintest idea what iodine, like you said, like what does iodine do, or what does, whatever, each individual of these, so that if people jump on the site, they're like, oh, that's what I need. So maybe we can even just kind of walk through. So let's start with this in particular with iodine. What might be some markers for someone to consider? Let's say they want to do the health test, but if something sticks out to them right now, they're like, let me snag a bottle of that while I wait for my hair test results.
Exactly. That's exactly what I'd recommend. So Epstein-Barr, if you know you have Epstein-Barr, that's kind of like a very niche group of anyone maybe watching, but Epstein-Barr doesn't replicate in the presence of iodine. That's a whole nother thing. Viruses in general don't like it. Todd knows that from being a nurse, that, it used to, at one point it was used as a disinfectant, still is, I think, in some cases. But it has a great effect in the body, but normally iodine tastes horrible and it's poorly absorbed, just like all minerals. So normally, you get about 20% absorption of the mineral. It's a size problem. And in this case, smaller.
Size matters.
Yeah, size matters.
Smaller is better.
Smaller is better.
Yeah. And all the women, at least, some of the guys, whoever's listening, some people are disagreeing vehemently with this. And folks, all I can say is when you think about a red blood cell, you've got to get it small enough. So what we're doing is we don't want to rely on your digestive process. We want to be able to get into the cell without digestion. Specifically, we want to get small enough to be absorbed into the mitochondria without digestion. So that way we don't rely on the gut. We're not concerned if you have leaky gut. We're not concerned if you have a clogged this or that in the digestive system. it's a huge leg up. It's a better starting place. And then you do a second test and you see, oh, my levels have changed. And good luck having them change with normal minerals. It just doesn't happen. So I've been there. I've lived it. I say it with confidence. I see many patients. I look at their hair test before and after, and it's just that they haven't moved if they didn't follow the recommendations. And just, but yeah. Anyway, without making this a monologue, I started to go back in and say, well, this is for that, and that's for this. But yeah.
And so, so it says detox, energy, cold hands, feet, thyroid health.
Yeah. Thyroid health is really the main thing. Todd touched on that earlier.
It's definitely.
So many people, like, as you know, like so many people just, their thyroid is either overperforming or underperforming. And today, mainly it's underperforming because the adrenals are underperforming and the thyroid is linked to that. So if your adrenals aren't working right, your thyroid's never going to be able to get up to that, F1 speed
and drive. When's the last time you even heard someone say, how's your thyroid health? You don't hear it that way. You only hear even about thyroid in context of dis-ease of some sort, hypo, hyper, whatever. And so the sheer fact that we don't look in the sense of how's your thyroid health, unless it's broken, and that's dysfunctional.
That's actually a really great point. I know I can speak for myself. I've been tuning into things in my body, like in the mirror, talking to myself. And that's one thing that I haven't done is talk to my thyroid. So thank you. And really leaning into the different parts of the body. I mean, we have so many different parts. And just checking in. Well, how is this feeling? How is this functioning? What's going on with this? And being able to scan through and check it. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. That's here all day, folks.
Yeah, you can massage it. You can massage it too. Yeah, I'm sure you do that.
Yeah, I do.
That's really good. Speaking, I think, also just is massaging so many different organs, including the thyroid.
I definitely talk enough to have a nice, strong thyroid.
Oh my God! If anyone knows Cole, this is true.
This is true.
So true.
Yesterday I had a bunch
and we love her for it. Yeah.
Yesterday I had a bunch of ladies over, for like a pre. My birthday's tomorrow, so it's like a little pre. Just hang out, enjoy each other's company. And I told Todd it was from 2 to 6. He's like, yeah, so I'll plan on 10 or 11. And I was like, yeah, probably.
Yeah.
So let's go on to upgraded zinc. So what is the purpose of zinc? Why should people care about zinc?
Yeah, zinc is really amazing for a lot of different reasons. Just balancing hormones for men and women is really key. For guys, low testosterone really helps. It helps with the transmission between the pituitary and the thyroid. Just letting your body know, hey, it's time to release some to make some thyroxine, to make some thyroid hormone. But just in general, like all of these products come from that place of it does what zinc wants to do in the body if it could be absorbed, and you're just like, your cells need it, they're looking for it, give it to them without it being digested. So that's been, as a chemical engineer, what I worked on. I was just like, what if we had a process that basically, quote unquote, digested it for you, like made it small enough so that your body has plenty to do, your cells are straining out there, just give them the nutrients so they have to digest, yet another thing. So I know I just did a 5-day water and mineral fast last Sunday to this Friday. We're just talking about it. And I mean, the minerals are really what your body needs to keep strong. It's just essential.
Yeah, man, I really love the way you go about this, and I love the pre-digestion concept and actuality of what you've created. And when looking in the mirror, there are plenty of different types of mirrors, and our science is not often seen as a mirror. And when you look at science as something that's actually showing you the molecular and atomic structure of your body and the things at the smallest level, it's another way to look into the self. So when we talk about the mentor is in the mirror, the mentor is in all of the mirrors. And so for you to be able to reflect that science back and show somebody that you may not be looking at yourself on this microscopic level, but let me show you. Let me show you an entry point into that space. Yeah. I really appreciate that, man. Yeah. I think it's awesome, and I think what you're offering to people. How many products does your company?
Right now we have 12, but we have more on the way. Probably another 6 by August. Yeah, I mean nice. the R&D's done for us at this point. I mean I've wrapped that up, and now it's just about, all right, when do we have time to implement this and then that, and just doing good launches. But yeah.
Are you guys doing protocols for people with certain,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, great question. Yeah. So we do consultations to help people understand the results from the hair test, because it's misleading in that you kind of look at it and you go, I think, okay, so I see I'm low in it, but getting both the big picture and the details is so key. Like reading between the numbers, reading between the lines, and going, oh, okay, so yeah, you have adrenal fatigue and your metabolism's low because of this, for example, this ratio, that ratio. So dialing that in is really, really key. So we offer consultations on the site too.
Yeah, I mean, I
highly recommend like someone doing one of the longer ones to start their very first time, just so we can get into like diet and like some of your lifestyle choices and what are your goals, and then link that to your results, so that you can have something to focus on.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's so key, and people love that. Yeah.
Well, and especially if there's things that are not as easily measured, right?
Yeah,
where it's
totally.
like, it may not be sensed. It might not be a felt sense right away. To have ways to kind of like see something quantifiable when you're checking it that way. And as someone that, I don't know how many hundreds of supplements I've used, over the last 10 years especially. Yeah. And honestly, right. 90% of the time, there wasn't something I could notice immediately. But so to have someone tell you, like, look, there may not be the perception of change, but 3 months from now, after this sustained process, your life or your energy levels are going to be tangible. Like, you're going to be able to feel it and notice a difference.
Absolutely, yeah. You said that perfectly. Like every night, like retesting in 90 days is usually what we recommend people do. I mean, if they're an athlete, if they're really peak performing, 30 or 60 days is fine, but a hair test provides you a month of data. And that's why I love it, is because think of it like an XY graph. It's not a data point like blood would be, because if you fast, your doctor's like, you got to redo this test if you're not fasted, right? So it's influenced by too small of a window. You go out drinking with your friends on Friday night, you go in and do a blood test, your testosterone's lower than it should be based on the alcohol, like things like that. It's just more data, so you're spreading out and you're getting a better average. I mean, yeah, we even look at heavy metals, so it's pretty cool.
So on this next product, the sugar support, and it says sugar cravings, balances insulin and blood glucose, and for metabolism. Who or under what conditions would this be beneficial for someone?
That's a great question. So that particular product, and all of these are like ideally done with a hair test, and based on someone's individual, proclivity and need. But just in general, people that are type 2 diabetics, this is a great support, because these are the minerals, for anyone listening, that's, if you notice, if you just have sugar cravings, this is you too. I take this often because it also has manganese, which supports my short-term memory and recall and everything. So, and just kind of how you store memories.
What'd you say? I forgot what we were going to say.
Are we were doing something. What are we? Yeah.
Hey, people are watching this. How does this keep happening?
Yeah. What were we doing here again? Yeah. Yeah. So.
Beautiful segue into also magnesium, right? So this product, upgraded nano magnesium. Yeah. What is nano magnesium for people?
It's a unit of measure, and these are measured at 10 to the minus 9 is how we look at it. So one thing we're able to do in the lab is measure with lasers. It sounds really like so complicated and fancy, but it's just a tool, and we're able to measure in that size range. So we know that blood cells about 10,000 nanometers. Our minerals are, there's some variance between 1 and 10 nanometers, small enough to get into the cell, versus a normal mineral that's 50 to 80,000 nanometers. And that's, if you're just like, that's too much, sounds too sciencey, it's just like 5 times to 8 times larger than your blood cell, right? So I just try, like bring it down, make it simple, but you don't have to understand any of that. All you have to do is understand where you're at right now with our test, the hair test, with the consultation. You get a good game plan. You got your minerals. I mean, just take what you need and nothing that you don't.
Yeah, again, man, I really appreciate the size of the product that you're doing, you're creating, because it's less work for the body to actually break things down. The magnitude of understanding that I have in regards to the body, the more we have to digest or break things up, the more energy we use and the more resources we have to use to actually do that. There's a cycle to all of this stuff that's going on in the background that people don't realize is happening. And if it's easier for these things to get into your body and more bioavailable, because bioavailability is so important, it's so much of a benefit. I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about this shit, man. I mean, it's
he really is passionate about this.
Bro, I am so into what you're talking about. You're speaking my language on so many levels, man. And so I really appreciate this. And this is an investment, right? When you do these tests, this is an investment, and it's your care in your own hands when you do this type of stuff. And it's not, you don't have to wait for the doctor to take your test and wait for the result to come back and then go for another, sign up for another appointment. And if your insurance company says no and all this, this is an investment in your health. This is an investment in your life and the way you feel. Too. And this is what I'm saying.
We've made it affordable. Like, we brought the cost down on this too. Right. That was another
thank you for that too. Thank you for that too. And this is why it's exciting for me, because I get to spread the word about this and put this in front of my clients, which is important to me. Totally. So thank you again for offering something that people can actually consume, that they don't have to fight to get to, and really understanding the importance of being able to invest in this instead of a new TV set or, that pack of cigarettes or whatever it is that people are investing in over and over again. Yeah. Like you can put a couple of bucks a week to the side.
The ice cream that you're eating because you have sugar cravings, you could, it's investment, do something like sugar support and not have that craving over time.
And what would you recommend to people? Because, I know in the past, I used to fall off my supplements and fall off my regimen. What would you recommend to people to stay on their game?
Cole was just bringing up magnesium earlier, and that's a great one. That one is, if you're going to pick one, most people, I mean, you burn through it. Something I say often is that we're redlining at our desk, right? You guys have probably heard me say this before, and it's so true, And magnesium helps you just calm. After you've been crushing it, let's say it's Monday, you get to work, you're in a great state, you get right to it, you work for 4 hours straight, you look up, and you're like, I know I have more to do, I want to do more, but my brain's kind of done. That's phosphate clouding your brain. Magnesium will pull back that, but you have to absorb it. So you can take our capsules, unscrew it, put it in your water, 10 minutes. It's in your system, it's circulating. I think all the blood in the body circulates every 20 or so minutes. So, it will just go through head to toe, clean you out, feel calm, go for, in the meantime, push back from the desk, get up, go get some sunlight, move, stretch, walk, come back. In that time, I do this all the time, and it just helps me go through so many different cycles in a day.
So, when you consider
compressing work days and adding work days.
Yes.
And just relaxing too. Yeah.
The key is when you start to understand that your body has natural rhythms, that if you'll actually honor that and notice that it's happening, for me, that's the first sign it's time for a break, actually.
Yeah.
So it's like you said, bust open a capsule, have magnesium, go outside, go for a walk, and then come back to it. You work more effectively, efficiently, and you get more done. And this was a hard lesson as an entrepreneur to learn, because I can sit down and work 16 hours if it's something that's I'm inspired and you've got that energy.
And you're in flow.
Right.
Yeah.
And then there's other times you have to get some work done.
You have flow antagonists.
Right.
And
I won't work against that anymore.
Yeah.
I'll kind of set a framework for myself. And if I've hit that wall more, by the time I hit it a third time in a day, the sign is just let it go. Just be outside, go be with people. Mm-hmm. And when I give myself permission to follow those flows and know what things can actually support, right? Mm-hmm. Knowing that it's like the more you learn your body and you find that rhythm and you go, great, my plan of action, we have this in business, right? Mm-hmm. When we hit a wall with something, it's knowing that, all right, when I hit this wall, because it is inevitable according to just chemically how our body functions, I'm going to grab magnesium, go for a walk, and then it's just part of the plan. It's not some frustration that it's not working right.
And then you don't need Adderall, right?
Okay,
because
God.
Don't get me started.
Don't get me started on this either. We haven't talked about it, but
we're getting started because we have so many entrepreneurs that are functioning on Adderall.
This is the biggest, for anyone listening, this is the biggest, we've not talked about this, but this is the biggest nutritional mistake I ever made personally, was getting a prescription for Vyvanse, which is chemically very similar. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know all about this. Yeah. So
it's dangerous stuff, and it throws your body into all kinds of loops.
Your adrenals, your hormones. I mean, I was telling someone the other day, it's like continuing.
I'm uncomfortable even speaking about it because it like ruined some great life moments for me. But it's so important for people to hear because I've talked a number of people down from ledges of I'm sure like conversations you guys have.
As have I.
It's like the way that I see it is Adderall or even caffeine, right? Yep. It's like I love to have my morning mushroom coffee and I'll even add some extra, but it's 1 cup and it's not strong. It's more, to me, it's more a habit. I want to
pull my effing hair out when I hear people talk about Adderall.
Well, the thing is, it's like riding on a flat tire. Yes. Sure, your car will keep going, but if you keep going on that flat tire, it's going to cause damage to the bearings and to the wheel. And, then it's going to go into the axle. Then it's no longer just fixing the tire. Now we have to change the entire structure, of that area of the car. And
yep, exactly.
It's that if
it depletes your body's resources.
Yes. When we intentionally learn the natural processes of the body and not biohack trying to skip them or manipulate them. And this is where people can get lost when they first step into biohacking, is what they're trying to do is get more out of dysfunctional patterns, whether it's stress levels, their life, whatever. And it's like when you're trying to bypass something that is dysfunctional, you might buy yourself more time, but it's not going to fix the problem.
You'll buy yourself more time in the now, but you won't buy yourself more time as far as longevity is concerned. Your body still has to manage this stuff and move it through and get rid of the products that it's left around. And, who knows where this stuff, is leaving shit, in your joints and in your tendons, where are these things, the waste products from these things crystallizing and sitting?
That's exactly what colloidal minerals do, by the way, is they crystallize in joints and soft tissue. And that's a whole nother thing that we don't have to get into because I don't like shaming other methods. I just say that I know ours work. And I know they do what you need done.
Well, I mean, it's all about education. I mean, we knew what we knew, right? And when we know something new, that's when we can apply it. And until then, we have these old sciences, and this is why this is so important. This is why this is exciting for me. Just hearing what you're doing and the importance of magnesium in the human body is in all functions of the human body, in your musculature, in order for your muscles to relax, and potassium. In order for your muscles to relax, you need magnesium. Brain function, magnesium. When women are having menstrual cramps, a lot of the time,
this zaps that
one for me. This is it was maybe 5 years ago. It had to have been at least 5 years ago now. A friend sent me a supplement that he made. That's an incredible supplement as well. He knows where it's sourced and everything. And so he sent me a sample of it at least 5 years ago. And by the time I hit my second cycle within that, Ta was like, did you notice that the PMS you experienced before, your mood and the physical pain
and the cramps, the
physical pain,
gone.
It was there, but it wasn't distracting. It really didn't stop me from going into my day. And as we started researching, because we just hadn't known yet, right? And when I started to research the fact that magnesium deficiencies is one of the biggest contributors for severe PMS and physical pain with cramping. And it's just something that's such an easy fix. I don't know a woman in the world that wouldn't pay to have a supplement that would give them not only many other benefits, but to actually lower the impact of their period to begin with. You know, like mine used to be a ghastly week. And now I never even notice it. I'll be like, oh yeah, right. It's about that time. And it's such a fraction of what it used to be. And I was always, you know, one of those women that like my flows were really heavy and my periods were really painful. Yeah. So I got on birth control at 15. Endometriosis, I had an ovarian torsion, like all these things that...
And guys, if you're listening to this matters for you. So I would, because you're in relationship with a girl, with a woman.
Listen, I am a testament to that statement, bro. I mean, really, like the dramatic.
If we can reduce
shift,
this for the women in our lives.
Well, when you
the dramatic shift is awesome.
Yeah, when you just consider the products that are sold, when you go look in the
ours stops those cramps. By the way,
that's what I'm saying. So women are buying, you know, they're taking, you know, I'll just take some ibuprofen and whatever
over and over again.
No, and
it's which destroys everything in your body,
right?
And it's not fixing the root cause.
Nope.
The body is cramping.
Signal.
It's a signal. When your body's cramping, it's trying to tell you like, hey, this is gonna get worse. Can you please listen to me? You ignored my whispers earlier. Now I'm sending you physical pain,
right. and
because you didn't listen to me.
And, and all of these signals come in, the cramps and all of this stuff, the craving for chocolate, which is high in magnesium, which is why women crave chocolate during their cycles, right? Exactly. Like really knowing these things is really important, and being able to tune into these things and have perspective around this. And this is why science is so important, because it comes in with perspective, and you can take that perspective. I mean, everything doesn't work the same way for everybody, but when you have a broad perspective and you can start to apply stuff to yourself, you make yourself the science experiment. And this is one of the things that I do with my body, and I know you do it. Cole does it, you know. People like Tim Ferriss,
lifelong obsession, but it's just fun, you know. It's like you're learning more about yourself.
I mean, seriously, I mean, it's such a magnificent thing. And you know, when you think about you know, the dairy industry and how they've blindsided everybody, telling people that they need calcium from cow's milk to strengthen their bones, when magnesium is the key point to strengthening your bones. And this is something that has we jump in on it.
We don't have a calcium only supplement for this reason right now, because a lot of people would take it out of harm, and like people keep asking for it. We have a calcium magnesium boron blend that helps with bone. If you're having bone issues, it can help that. But, you know, a lot of that, it's a blood pH thing. It's, you know, which goes back to all the work you guys do too, which is like, how do you relieve anxiety? How do you get back to, you know, like as you're listening to this, even, are you breathing deeply or shallowly? You know, like even if you're excited, like that's contributing to your blood pH. You know, your rate of anything you're doing, slowing down on purpose. But, you know, it's just like, that's what we need to do, is slow down, take everything in, stop moving so fast, take a break from the speed, even though it's so thrilling, you know, sometimes, and get back to the homeostasis point that our body wants to run at, that it can maintain at. You know, like live life, but go back to home base every now and then. Hang out there too. Enjoy it. You know,
have that dial in the middle, man. Swing the dial. The pendulum doesn't have to have these heavy swings, man. You know,
Well, and at what point, you know, can we let go of the need to suffer in order to transform? Like waiting until our health crashes before it becomes a priority. We spend tens of thousands and years in school to learn a trade or a skill set and learn nothing about how our body works, which then our body is the only means that can accomplish all the other things we're training our mind with, and that our body becomes a part of. And once you will prioritize and learn and really see that in the mastery of the self, in the mastery of how the body functions is where freedom lies.
And we need nutrition. We need nutrition for that.
Exactly. Without the building blocks for it,
Yeah.
Like I was going back to the thing with a flat tire on a car. It's like you can even be eating all the best foods, but you may not have all the nutrients you need still. So it's like you're still putting like, the crappiest gasoline into a nice car.
I use this example too. Yeah, it's interesting too. And people do that in other ways too. They park their 7 Series BMW at a McDonald's. It's like, say what? I know you're putting premium in that car. What are you putting in your body?
Yeah.
Ditch the car, spend it on nutrients, on food. And then, if you need to, or do both, maybe it's not either or thing, but hey, there's a priority thing that I'm not, it's not my place to say what the priorities for your life should be, but I'll just say that you can't be happy if you're not healthy. Not long term, at least.
Or I know, speaking for myself, and when I had all the medical conditions I didn't even know what vitality and energy could feel like because I'd been running on empty for so long.
And running fast, too.
Exactly. Yeah. And so knowing that, just look at it as an experiment, right? Take 90 days, do a hair sample, and just see what is possible if for 90 days you completely shifted your diet to maybe a paleo-esque, we're plant-based, but we eat in a paleo style aside. We just don't have meat, right?
We're diet agnostic when we talk to people too in consultations. We're not trying to convince them. So like, know that too. Yep. Like, this is just accepting you as you are and this understanding your goals. Now, if you tell me like, well, I want to drop some fat, and I see that or our nutritionist now that does our consults will look at your results and go, well, like here's a couple different ways you can increase that, but you need more of this, which means here's how you get it outside of supplements in your diet. And then here's something you can supplement on top of that.
I think that's super chill, man. I like that approach.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, man, for being super chill. You're one of the chillest people I've ever met, bro.
It's
seriously, man. This woman talk Barton all the time. I love it. She's
I love you guys so much.
We love you so much, man. Yeah. Are you guys at your company? Are you doing anything to educate physicians and healthcare practitioners on these supplements, or just changing the style of how they encourage their patients to supplement?
God, that's certainly a next phase that we're starting. I'm working with a doctor in Houston right now that works with people. Really, God, he does amazing work. Dr. Valina. He's in his mid-50s and he's just like ripped, jacked, happy, so kind. And, he's done a lot of the different work that you guys, work with and everything. And just, a shining example. He uses our upgraded magnesium for healing traumatic brain injury. So he'll do that. He'll do hyperbaric oxygen. A couple other things, but it's really, really cool. So he's going to have me speak with at some group of doctors that he has in Houston here in another month or so, and we'll see where that leads. But it's a really good nexus point, I think.
Yeah,
so
exciting, man. I mean, that's Trey exciting, man. Really, seriously, man. Yeah. I appreciate all that you're doing for humanity. And tell us about your podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Total Upgrade, man.
Yeah, so you guys, if you guys love Ta as much as I do, you'll get to hear him on Total Upgrade soon. This is something that is just my another passion, which is just, helping guys helping guys be better men. I just noticed there's so many women-only podcasts, and that's great. And I've noticed that we're so much stronger if we can go apart, in our days, or every so often at least. And men be with the men, women be with the women type thing. And then you come back together and you appreciate each other more. You have your polarity back. You have a lot of things, just the puzzle pieces fall back into place. It's just like sometimes you gotta, it's just, it's really something I care a lot about.
Yeah, the reason I wanted to swing back around to your podcast and speaking about men is, a lot of men go to the gym and they lift and they do all this stuff, and the only supplements that they take is like whey protein and creatine and shit like that, and they'll take like Centrum, or they'll take the Costco multivitamin and
Costco. I love Costco in many ways, but.
And they'll get into muscle science,
but not from a multivitamin.
No,
in general, just stop taking your multivitamin if you're listening.
They are literally.
It's the scattershot approach. Yeah. But anyway, what were we saying?
So they get into these supplements to make their muscles bigger, and they may study a little bit about muscle science, but they don't really know. Yeah. And this dialogue doesn't happen. And there are so many women that I know that are into supplements. Yeah. When I was doing personal training, I had all these women, and they were like, "Yeah, I'm taking this multivitamin in it," and I would have them switch their supplements, but the men would never. And even when I asked them to do it, they would take it for about a month and then they would stop. And this is a thing with men. I mean, do you find that more of your clients, more of the people who buy your supplement, women? Yeah, that's what I thought. And this is why I appreciate that you're doing your podcast with men, not to exclude women from stuff, but men don't have the amount of support or the amount of real self-interest in supplementing, and
just vulnerability in general.
Totally.
There's not a whole lot of spaces for men to talk about all of the things that contribute to health, not only because supplementation, because this is going to impact your hormone production, which will impact your mood. But there are other contributors that I appreciate you talk about on the podcast. As a woman, I love to hear perspectives that are not mine. That's it. It doesn't matter if it's like women, non-binary, men. Like it's not about that. It's understanding that there's emotional work to do, but when you'll take the stand to change diet and supplementation, you can lower the emotions you're feeling that are overwhelming by 60%, and then look at what's left. Where I feel like, especially now with psychedelics and the work that people are doing, they're diving full in for psychedelics to fix it when it's a deficiency, creating a chemical reaction in the body.
Which doesn't allow the brain to go into the spaces for processing of emotions and other things.
Well, or it's not even a old trauma wounding. Yeah. It's a literal deficiency creating a hormonal feeling that, I had times that I realized, wow, I thought that this was, I'm trying to find what's emotionally wrong with me when it's a supplementation deficiency creating a chemical reaction that makes me feel what I had labeled as sad in the past.
Right. And when the body says no, it says no. And it's not going to do anything else until it gets what it needs. And that may be a funky mood. I'm not talking to you or you or anybody. You're not getting this work done, any of this stuff, until you get me what I need to be able to function at the level you want me to function in.
This is the fastest way to start kick that off that you can control.
Yeah, man. And I mean, and swinging back to the men's thing again, it's I have so many men tell me about they're taking testosterone and their testosterone levels are low, and they're all of this stuff, and then they're taking testosterone and they don't know how to support anything that they're doing. Erectile dysfunction, or all of these different things that are going on, and men are not discussing this shit amongst each other.
Yeah.
And it's so I appreciate you creating this podcast, man. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, it was work with you guys. It was a conversation Ty and I had, actually, that was just that I told them this. I don't know if you remember this, way back in June of last year, because where I realized it just became really clear during an integration, just a mindset sort of mastermind and workshops, a ceremony that we did, and wow, I just remember thinking I don't see that I can do anything else, and that's how I felt with Upgraded. Yeah. It's just these are two things that the world needs. I know I enjoy them, and I think for anyone that's thinking about, whoa, what do I do? I have so much passion. I've read so many books. I've traveled. I've done meditation. I've all these different things. If I could make one suggestion, it's listen to that voice and notice what you're doing, and what can you not do? What can you not do? What do you spend so much time on? For me, it was it was just, optimizing my health. I knew I had to fix my memory. And luckily I grew up around a lot of successful entrepreneurs, and I knew how to build a business. And I just knew that this was the right one. I knew, for me at least, I had worked for other people as an engineer. It was just, it's just very, very clear that you have to do something that your heart is in alignment with to ever give it your all. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I was going to ask you what you would tell somebody. We always end our podcast or wrap when we get close to the wrapping up point, we ask, and I can still ask this question.
Yeah.
If you could tell anyone that's listening to go into the mirror and say something to themselves, to that mentor, so that they can see that mentor in the mirror, what would they say to themselves?
Believe in you. Yeah.
That works for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Barton. And, for anyone watching, for anyone listening, I'll put down in the comments if you want to listen back to the episode in podcast format. I'll have that available as well.
Yeah.
And we'll put the coupon code in it.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, and you can mention that right now. Tell people your website, your podcast name, and your coupon code so that they can.
Sure. Yeah. So Barton 10 at checkout. The site is upgradedformulas.com. Upgraded with an ED, formulas with an S, and check it out. I mean, it's been life changing, as you've seen. I mean, gosh, something that I've noticed recently is that women are always thinking about their skin, and this is something that I think my skin's better now than it was 4 or 5 years ago. And that speaks to a lot of different things, but minerals drive how your skin looks, how your internal, inside and out. We are always just an expression of the elements, that periodic table. That's what we are made of, and that's what our test shows you. That's how we replenish you. So check it out. But yeah, just going back to what you asked, believe in you, because we all need you. We need you at your best too.
Yes.
So
and you are valuable, you are awesome, you are beautiful, you are worthy.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much, Barton, for coming on the show. And for anyone listening, don't forget to share this with a friend. We're doing all this emotional work in the self-development world as a multi-billion-dollar business, and I can tell you from experience that dietary and supplementation shifts really resolved like 65% of my fibromyalgia and endometriosis, and just like markers that I was not doing well inside. And then that other 35% was trauma and other things I needed to look at. So share this episode with a friend. These are changes you can make today before you go to Costa Rica or Peru or you work with ayahuasca or whatever. This is something anyone can start now. I'll put the website in the show notes. Rate, review, subscribe, share this with all of your friends.
Yeah.
We love you so, so much, Barton.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on the show.
Seriously.
Guys.
Yeah. And until next time, be free.